UFC 308 goes down this Saturday. The main event is Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria coming off that huge victory over Alexander Volkanovski back in February. This is probably the biggest and most exciting fight. The most stakes are at hand in this one. Wow, the biggest fight for the rest of the year, no doubt. Main card starts at 2 p.m. Prelims start at 11 on the East Coast. In the UK, it actually is starting at a normal hour. Very exciting stuff. This is a big-time pay-per-view, probably the biggest, most stacked pay-per-view of the entire year. UFC 300 aside, abnormalities aside, Max Holloway, Ilia Topuria, huge fight for the 145-pound title. Let's start from the bottom. Erbo Aslan versus Chikirikwi, whoever this guy is. Not really well read up on this one. Aside from this, Erbo Aslan is one of these guys from the region, big-time prospect coming out of that Middle Eastern, kind of South Asia region. He's heavy-handed. We've seen him fight before. I predict that he probably gets the win. I think this is a late replacement for Cerqueira, however you pronounce that. And then the next one, same kind of thing. Carlos Leal coming in on late notice to take on Renat Fakhretdinov. I think Fakhretdinov was supposed to be taking on Nursultan Ruziboyev, who Joaquin Buckley just fought a couple of months ago in St. Louis. This one, I predict Fakhretdinov to get a win here, but look for Leal to come in there swinging hard to try to get a finish early. Now, Nurdayev, he's been around for quite a while. Not the best of the Dagestanis out there, but I do recognize him. He hasn't fought in a very long time as far as I'm concerned. He's taking on Bruno Silva, who, as of late, has taken on the likes of Chris Weidman and some other guys at the top of the division. He fought Alex Pereira a couple of years ago. I look for Bruno Silva, not Alex Silva, Bruno Silva to be getting the win in this one. Look out for that one. That one might be a fun one between a grappler and a striker. Predominant styles with the mix of other styles in their game. Now, Victor Hugo taking on Farid Basharat, the younger of the Basharat brothers. He's still undefeated. Victor Hugo hasn't fought in a while. He's looking to stop that momentum. I look for Farid Basharat to probably get the win here, the younger, more athletic guy here. And then finally, the GOAT is back. Chris Biggie Boy, whatever the hell his name is, Chubby Bear, his nickname right now. This guy's obviously super fun to watch. Taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu. Yes, he's like 6'6", 6'5", coming out of Nigeria. And Chris Barnett, the monster himself, stands at about 5'8", 5'9", 5'10" in the heavyweight division. This one's going to be a huge height discrepancy. Look for that one. That one's going to be very fun as well. Just a lot of fun fights that could be scrappy here. Some of these could end up being boring, at least to lead off the early prelims. The first 4 fights may not be super exciting, but look for some early finishes from their opponents in the predicted victors. Now, we'll get back to the card lineup between Abus Magomedov and Bruno Ferreira. Bruno Ferreira kind of came in last year, kind of came in on late notice. This is that kind of guy who likes to kind of get things going. He's a kind of fighter. That's what I would describe him as. He's heavy-handed. He's not the most skilled. He's kind of skilled. You see why I'm saying kind of here. He's kind of skilled. He's just a scrappy fighter with heavy hands. He's one of those Brazilian guys who likes to mix it up. Abus Magomedov. This guy was ascending fast not too long ago, but obviously kind of hit his ceiling. Doesn't have the gas tank to go a full 3 rounds because he just blitzes that first round. He's like Khamzat with slightly less cardio. Abus Magomedov, very dynamic, very athletic, very fast starter. But Bruno Ferreira, he's just a veteran of the game. He's young, but he's a veteran of the game. He plays it well. He uses his heavy striking to get a game plan going where he can pick at you at range at times and then throw in that right hand on the end of combinations. I like what I'm seeing there. Don't know who's going to win that one, but it's going to be a fun one. And then Said Nurmagomedov, he was supposed to be fighting, but his opponent fell through, and now we're looking for a late replacement opponent. Hopefully we get somebody put together because Said Nurmagomedov is very, very fun to watch. There was a lot of spinning stuff. He's one of these Dagestanis who actually is really good in the stand-up, like an Usman Nurmagomedov, like an Umar Nurmagomedov. Good in the stand-up, despite being Dagestani. Said Nurmagomedov, Let's hope and pray that he gets an opponent so we could have a fun fight with him. He deserves it. He's kind of inactive at times. Trying to get this guy up the rankings. He was supposed to be taking on, I think, Daniel Santos out of Charles Oliveira's camp. The dyed white hair, that whole thing, that was going to be a fun one. Obviously was going to be a scrap, but now he's fallen through. Hopefully we get something going so Saeed can ascend and maybe get up into the rankings if he gets a win. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, moving on. Mytek Orabai, the Neanderthal himself, taking on Mateusz Rebecki. Rebecki, a big guy, coming out of, I think, Poland, that region of the world. Rebecki, fun stand-up fighter, good at mixing it up, shorter, stockier, kind of heavier-handed fighter. And Mytek Orabai, just well-rounded. Great striking fundamentals, got good boxing, and he's got absolutely dangerous takedown ability, absolute dangerous finishing ability on the ground. This one's going to be a fun one. The Neanderthal versus the New Age European. Look for that one to be very, very fun. And then finally, the prelim headliner, Jeff Neal, Hands of Steel, taking on RDA. Yeah, RDA coming back to take on Jeff Neal at 170. RDA was making a run at 155 for a time, but he's now back at 170 taking on Jeff Neal. This one, I think Jeff Neal's going to get it done. He's just the younger, faster guy at this point in his career. RDA could win this one if he plays it smart, picks that range, but I don't think he's going to have that much of a height advantage here, range advantage, a length advantage here. I think Jeff Neal's about his height, if not a little bit taller, going to have longer, rangier punches. Plus, he's got the crispier boxing overall. RDA probably has better kicks, probably better calf kicks overall. I don't know. RDA's game, he's just getting older. I'm not sure how he's going to look in this one. It's probably going to be a good one just between their two styles. They both like to fight in tight. They don't really, either of them fight at range very often. Look for RDA to probably try to get some takedowns in this one. I see him getting a lot of takedowns in this one, or at least trying to. But Jeff Neal's just a solid fighter. He's got good takedown defense for his boxing ability. So look for probably Jeff Neal to get the win here. But RDA could surprise us and me making a career resurgence here. Who knows what's going on? It's Abu Dhabi. We don't know what's going on with these guys. Who's juicing, who's not. I'm not saying anything, but just saying. Anyway, Sharabullet Magomedov coming back. He's been very active this year, fighting in almost every Middle Eastern card that they've had. He's taking on Armen Petrosian. Two strikers. This one's going to be a fun one. Somebody's probably going to get knocked out, if I had to say so myself. But who knows? This could turn into a grappling fest. You know how two wrestlers kind of can negate each other and stand it out and strike it out on the feet? Well, Sharaputin Magomedov and Armen Petrosian could be negating a lot of what they're doing. They both throw a lot of spinning attacks. They're both heavy-handed in the striking realm. They could negate each other, and somebody might go for a takedown if they're hurt, and then it turns into a grappling fest late in the second and third rounds. Who knows about that one? That one's going to be a fun one. Sharabullet, obviously they're trying to throw into the top of the rings, but he could not take out Antonio Tricoli in 3 rounds. That was very disappointing from him. I don't think he's going to be much of anything. He's a fun fighter, Sharaputin is. The pirate, the bullet himself. I just don't know if he's really going to amount to much. Anyway, on to the next one. Ankalaev is going to be taking on Alexander Rakic. Ankalaev looking to get that title shot. Should probably be getting that title shot. Probably should have taken it at 307, but as we know, this guy doesn't like to take late notice fights. He doesn't like to take late notice fights outside of Russia, outside of the Middle East. I don't know what's going on with this guy. Is it visa issues? Is it whatever? Does he need extra help? Is that what's going on here? Alexander Rakic, though, coming off that tragic loss to Yuri Prochazka at 300, he was beating the snot out of Yuri Prochazka in the first round, but Yuri Prochazka just had the better will, the stronger will, the more determined fighter was Yuri Prochazka on the night. He was not going to be denied. We saw what he was doing, standing outside of T-Mobile Arena, meditating, reminiscing, meditating, manifesting, whatever it was going on in Yuri. He just could not lose at UFC 300, and Rakic proved that was true because he was beating him up. So Yuri Prochazka, one of those top guys in the division, Rakic looked better than ever. He looked like the best heavyweight or the best light heavyweight in the world in that first round against Yuri Prochazka. But Yuri Prochazka just has the will of the samurai in him, and he broke Rakic. Ankalaev, though, I don't know. I think it would be tragic if Rakic beat him. I think it'd be absolutely hilarious if Rakic beat him because he should have been fighting for the title. Ankalaev should have been fighting for the title. And Rakic shouldn't quite be up there. He injured, coming off that injury loss, and then he fought Yuri. Doesn't really deserve to be getting a title shot off the win. But honestly, Ankalaev's that guy at the top of the division, the boogeyman at the top of the division that Alex Pereira hasn't fought yet. And I don't know what else to say about this fight. I could break it down X's and O's. I think Magomed, gun to my head, is going to win. But, man, it'd be funny if Rakic got it done. I think he's faster, more dynamic on the feet for sure. But Ankalaev's just well-rounded, man. Rakic has good takedown offense. Less so defense, I would say. I don't know. Go back and watch a couple of his fights. Get in the know about this guy. But Rakic, I think it'd be fun if he got the win just to catapult himself into the title picture. And Ankalaev, man, he's on like, what, a 12-fight unbeaten streak at this point? Would be absolutely tragic if he lost this one. Wow. Big-time matchup in the light heavyweight division. Definitely a title eliminator bout for sure. Now, the featured bout is Lerone Murphy taking on Dan Ige. Dan Ige is getting his reward for taking on Diego Lopez on late notice here against Lerone Murphy. Two guys ranked just outside the top 10. Lerone Murphy recently coming off a win over Edson Barboza and Dan Ige. Getting back, wants to get in the win column here. This one's going to be a fun one. A sharp, rangy, dynamic striker, and the slower, more plodding, more, thoughtful striker, Dan Ige, with the power of 50K in his hands, 50 caliber, 50K in his hands. That's Dan Ige. He's going to be marching forward on Murphy. Look for Murphy to probably mix it up, try to shoot some takedowns here. Dan's got good takedown defense. He's kind of one of those squattier, shorter, more ploddy in approach, but he's a smart fighter. He's stocky. He knows what he comes into the fight with. He knows where his advantages lies and where his disadvantages are. Dan Ige is a smart fighter. Lerone Murphy, one of these really just specimen athletes. This guy's really, really solid in terms of athletic ability, but does he have the pop in his hands to get it done against Dan Ige? Put Dan Ige in danger because Dan Ige is damn near unfinishable. Now, co-main event, big time matchup, next one. Robert Whittaker, the Reaper, taking on Boards Khamzat Chimaev. Chimaev coming off of a win over Kamaru Usman that was pretty indecisive there. It was very close. Closer than it should have been considering the hype behind Chimaev and the age of Kamaru Usman. But it's been an entire year since that fight. Khamzat Chimaev couldn't get any fights this year. Now he's taking on Robert Whittaker at 185. Yes, the official move up to 185 is now complete with a top contender bout at 185. This is probably a title eliminator fight to get back in there against whoever wins between the speculated Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis fight. Robert Whittaker, though, this guy's got good takedown defense. We saw what he did against Yoel Romero. Beat Yoel Romero on arguably 2 occasions. I'm looking for Robert Whittaker to probably stop Chimaev in his tracks here, but Chimaev's so... what's the word, man? He's so versatile and so aggressive in that first round. He's like both super aggressive and super versatile in his striking ability. He's got heavy hands, and he's got some of the most aggressive takedown offense you've ever seen. Kamaru Usman arguably got 10-8'd in that first round. I would argue that fight should have been a draw. If Kamaru wins the second and third rounds because Khamzat gassed out in that first round, Khamzat 10-8'd Kamaru. He just was all over him. And if he can do that against Robert Whittaker, who probably doesn't have the technical wrestling ability like Kamaru Usman, he could easily get Robert Whittaker out of there. But Robert Whittaker is such a veteran and so rangy, so dangerous on the feet in terms of just his footwork. He's a very dangerous footwork kind of guy. He's got great, phenomenal footwork, and he can strike with the best of them. We saw what he did with Izzy. Yes, Dricus du Plessis did get to him, but he's been able to outstrike almost everybody he's fought except for Israel, and even that was tit for tat. I don't know, man. This one's going to be a fun one. Khamzat Chimaev, look for him to get a finish in the first round, but if it goes 3 rounds or 5 rounds or whatever it's scheduled to be, look for Robert Whittaker to just break Khamzat as the fight goes on, because he's got good takedown defense, and he can resist Khamzat Chimaev for as long as he can. Wow. What can I say about the main event? The main event. Ilia Topuria defending in his first title defense after beating Alexander Volkanovski, Max Holloway, who's just put himself in the perfect position. He has everything to gain and nothing to lose after that Justin Gaethje fight. phenomenal fight by Max Holloway. Beat Justin Gaethje from pillar to post and then went to war with him in the last 10 seconds and knocked him out at the buzzer. I don't think anybody's been on such a high as Max Holloway in this moment, in this fight, riding into this one. A lot of people are picking Max Holloway to get the win, but Ilia Topuria might just be the most dangerous fighter, dare I say, of all time. Have you seen what this guy has done to people? Have you seen what he did to Volk? Outstriking Volkanovski, one of the best strikers in the UFC, the guy who put it on Max Holloway and dominated him in their third fight. And Ilia Topuria went out there and beat that guy. Yes, Volk was coming off of that loss to Makhachev, but does your striking technical ability go away? No, absolutely not. He outstruck and knocked out Volk. Devastating. I've never been so devastated following a fight card. If he beats Max Holloway, I will be severely depressed, but very, very impressed nonetheless. Ilia Topuria is just one of these next generation, well-rounded, crafty fighters who's smart. He's not an idiot. He's not some junkie athlete coming off of the streets like some bum like we used to have. He's not just some dumb jock football player who transferred into MMA. This guy's a fucking fighter to his core. And Max Holloway, this guy could get it done. He's longer, he's rangier. If he plays it smart, if he stays off the cage, because Ilia Topuria tries to back you up and trigger you by getting you into the corner and throwing back in combination, and that's where he strikes. He's like a deadly viper. Once he gets you in there, he's doing this thing with his head movement, striking, boxing ability, and then he just, boom, hits you with that fourth strike in the combination. I predict Ilia Topuria to get the win here, but Max Holloway, if he gets the win here, this would be the greatest year in mixed martial arts history, but yet he still wouldn't be fighter of the year because of what Alex Pereira has done. You know how fucking crazy that is? Man, this is going to be fucking banger of the century. Max Holloway has the uncrackable chin of all uncrackable chins. This guy hasn't even been fucking dropped in all these fights against all these fighters. He's fought everybody in the fucking featherweight division. He's fought a lot of guys in the lightweight division. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje. Max Holloway has fought the who's who. He's fought everybody. He's got the strike record count right now. This guy can do no wrong. It's basically volume versus power in this one. Who's going to win it? I don't know. I don't even want to give you a prediction, but if I had to pick a winner gun to my head, I say Ilia Topuria. But in my heart, I want Max to win because Ilia Topuria is going to be here for a long time. He's only 27 years old. He's going to be around for forever. So if Max Holloway gets the win here, I'm not going to be devastated. Ilia Topuria is going to be around for a long, long time. This guy is the next GOAT. Watch out for Ilia Topuria to get the win here. Tragically, wish Max could get the win here. I just don't know if he can do it. Volume versus power. Who wins out in that one? Who connects first? Man, what a card we have here, guys. Let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know what you guys think. Who should be fighting Saeed in that fight down there below? Let me know what you guys think about the prelims. The first four fights, probably not going to play out in the most entertaining fashion, but there you have some high-level guys in there, so who knows? Anything could happen. And then the main card is just spectacular. It's going to be fun from top to bottom in terms of the main card. Tune in, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Man, UFC 308, Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway in the main event. Big-time fight. Let me know what you guys think about the whole card, main event, co-main, everything. Khamzat coming back in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the fights Saturday afternoon.